and welcome once again to our telecourse for you teachers of English. I'm your host, Ruth Alido, inviting you for another session in reading. The past episodes were explicit in presenting instructional practices for specific reading skills. Such presentations, however, should not give an impression that reading instruction stands independent of the other language arts, such as listening, speaking, and writing. Language educators have long recognized the interrelationship of the language areas. With this recognition goes the idea that learning one area has a facilitating effect in learning the other areas. In classroom practice, therefore, the desired relationship among the language arts is enhanced. This process of enhancing this deserved relationship is commonly known as integration. In today's episode, let's try to explore some instructional practices which focus on integrating reading with the other language skills. Before you join in a grade 6 English class, let's pause for a few reminders. Don't go away. Welcome back. You will see a class where the teacher makes a follow-up on the previously taught lessons on adjectives.
Class, last week, we tried to identify the places where we can go for a summer trip if given the opportunity. After so many suggestions, we finally arrived at a short list with 3 options. We had the Pagsanhan, Baguio, and Subic. If you remember, I divided you into 3 groups. Each group is supposed to do something. Now, who can tell me what each group is supposed to do? Let's see. Let's have Leovic.
Each group is supposed to gather information about the place assigned to them. The leader will then report to the class so that the class will have an idea about the place.
That's right, Leovic. Perhaps you can now listen to each group leader. Now, leaders, be sure to present a clear description of the place. Who would like to start? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, Melissa, Group 2 leader.
Each of us in the group gathered information about Baguio. Baguio is a mountain city. Its weather is different from those of the lowlands. It's cooler there in Baguio. For this reason, many people from all parts of the country go to Baguio in summer in order to escape from the summer heat. Baguio, therefore, is called the summer capital of the Philippines. Besides its cool weather, Baguio has a lot of other attractions. To go to Baguio, one has to pass through a winding road, commonly known as the Zigzag Road. From an aerial view, it looks like a thin crooked line drawn on a green piece of paper. Baguio is also known for greens like trees and vegetables. It is said that Baguio grows the best vegetables and the most beautiful flowers as well.
Class, I'd like to congratulate all the leaders for making such a good presentation. In fact, it's very commendable that the leaders use appropriate words to describe the places. Now, who among you can recall some of the adjectives the leaders mentioned in the report? Let's see. Yes, Roma?
I remember cool weather, winding road, and zigzag road.
Thank you, Roma. Now, would like to say something? Yes, Ryan.
I remember the leader saying best vegetables, beautiful flowers, and green light trees.
Thank you, Ryan. Class, you really have good memories, don't you? Well, at this point, we're going to move on to our reading lesson. Well, the selection deals on a topic very relevant to everyone, especially for those living in crowded urban areas. Now, who would like to make a guess? Okay, Robert.
Is it about El Nino phenomenon?
Well, Robert, El Nino is also very relevant, but somehow it's not the topic. It's more something that affects people living in crowded areas. Would you like to make another guess?
I guess it's about pollution.
Thank you, Robert. That was good.
You must have noticed how the teacher compartmentalized the lesson. Did she show a link between the lesson on adjectives and the reading lesson? Obviously, she didn't. She did not do integration of skills. May I invite you to join me and observe another English class? Let's see what Teacher Roseo is doing.
Class, I told you to gather information about Baguio, Pagsanhan, and Subic. Let us share information today. Perhaps after the sharing, we shall all be in a better position to choose the place for our summer trip, that is for gimmick time. But for now, I'd like you to give the best description for each place. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us start with Baguio. So what are the information you got about Baguio? Tasia, show of hands. Ljovic.
Well, sir, Baguio, it's a cool place.
It's a cool place for Ljovic. How about Yes, Ethel?
Sir, it also has interesting tourist spots.
So give me some more ideas that you gathered about Baguio. You said it's cold, or it's a cool place. What else?
Bernheim Park.
We have. What else?
Ethnic groups.
Ethnic. Some more?
Igorots.
Some more?
High mountains.
We have high mountains in Baguio. Next. Have you been there? Not yet. Okay. What else?
Wood carving. Native products.
What did Teacher Roseo do? Apparently, he did the following. The teacher listed down ideas at random as the students gave them. Then he guided the students to organize the ideas through a visual device or idea map. He believes that if ideas are organized, it will be easier for students to store them in memory and later to retrieve or recall them. Before we move on to the rest of the lesson, let's pause first for a few reminders. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, let's see what Teacher Roseo does next.
Class, I think we have too many circles. Perhaps we can put together some ideas in order to have few big circles. So, which ideas do you think can be grouped together? Yes? BJ.
Sir, I think it's the ethnic groups and the Igorots.
So what can be used as a word to group them? Roma,
Sir, can we use people?
do you agree that we can use people? Okay.
What did the teacher do this time? The teacher guided the students to arrive at organized ideas using the idea map. While this is a lesson on adjectives, the teacher sought to provide a context-embedded situation for the activity where students, first, use the language meaningfully. Second, use the strategy to remember information so they could compare the three places. The language lesson on adjectives ends with students being able to make a tentative decision based on description and facts given about each place. Let's see what happens next.
Now, class, I'd like you to read some selections I got from magazines about Subic, Pagsanhan, and Baguio. You have a lot of background information already about the places, right? Okay, now I think you are well equipped for the selections that I am going to give you. If by chance you come across unfamiliar terms, what strategies may help you? Okay, Deborah.
I'll use my dictionary, sir.
Dictionary will do. What else? Okay, the first one who raised his hand, Jerry.
Sir, I will try to find out if there are context clues.
Good. And what else can you do? Michelle.
I may ask you, sir, or somebody to help me.
That will be fine with me for as long as it is not included in the quiz. Okay? For now, I'd like you to read the selection. And after reading, I'd like you to outline the information you got about each place. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but for now, I'd like to have a short recap on outlining. Do you remember the lesson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do it.
What did you observe? Yes, the teacher in this classroom situation proceeded to the reading lesson. He provided reading materials to the students to give additional input content-wise. He selected an academic task which paralleled the cognitive process employed in the language lesson. Organizing information. In the reading lesson, however, he asked the students to use the conventional outline, a variation of the idea map done earlier. Now, let's recall what Teacher Au did in her English class.
In fact, it's very commendable that the leaders use appropriate words to describe the places. Now, who among you can recall some of the adjectives the leaders mentioned in the report?
In her language lesson, she had an activity on adjectives similar to Teacher Roseo's activity. It was one meant to be purposeful and meaningful to the students. In her reading lesson, Teacher Au did a typical lesson with reading selection as the stimulus for comprehension exercises done after the reading period. Let us reflect on Teacher Roseo's lesson. In the language portion, the teacher focused on a cognitive activity, the purpose of which was to organize information using adjectives. The reading lesson parallels lessons, skill-wise and content-wise. In the reading lesson, the students were asked to outline information gathered. This is an organizing information skill. In both language and reading lessons, students talked about places using adjectives. From the lessons of Teacher Au and Teacher Roseo, we may infer that, first, language skills instruction can sometimes be highly compartmentalized, as seen in Teacher Au's lesson. Instructional linkage in the grammar and reading lessons was not evident. Second, strong instructional linkages or integration in reading and language is possible as seen in Teacher Roseo's lesson. Organizing information was taken care of in both, using similar topics. Third, integration could be content, topic, or skill-based. Teacher Roseo linked his language and reading lessons in terms of content and skill. Which do you practice? Integration or compartmentalization? Research in language education provides convincing pieces of evidence on the advantages of instructional linkages among the different language areas. Compartmentalization, as researchers claim, destroys the naturalness of the use of language. Many reading educators, too, favor the integrated approach over the fragmented curriculum in the language arts. Instructional atomism, poses the danger of weakening the natural purpose of language, that of communication of meaning. Instead, instruction may turn the language into a mere set of abstractions, unrelated to the whole language needs of students. Let's explore further how reading may be linked or connected with the other language arts. But before we do that, let's pause for a few reminders. Don't switch channels. Welcome once again. What are some specific existing beliefs that support the teaching of reading integrated with the other language arts like writing? First, reading comprehension is enhanced if the reader has an understanding of the processes the writer went through. Watch this grade 4 class, for example.
Let's identify the parts of the story we've just read. So, where and when did the story happen? Daniel?
It probably happened long ago in Britain where there are kings and queens.
Right. Who are the characters then? Fatima?
The king, queen, princess, and prince.
Right. What was the big problem in the story? Mary Chris?
When the princess and prince were about to get married, the princess got sick.
Tell me, what did the prince do? Yes, John?
He asked the king to call the best doctors in the kingdom.
That's good. Did the princess get well? Yes, Lisa?
No, ma'am.
Tell me what happened next. Yes, Elvie?
While the prince was alone in the garden, an old man appeared. He gave the prince a magic stone.
A magic stone? What can the magic stone do?
The magic stone can cure all diseases. One has just to put it on the sick person's forehead.
On the forehead? Did the princess get all that?
Yes, ma'am. Then the princess and the prince then got married and they live happily ever after.
Very good, Elvie. That's fine.
Through the teacher's questions, the children become conscious of the pattern structure or grammar of a story. Using story grammar to enhance comprehension is therefore encouraged.
Remember, class, that anybody who writes a story considers these 4 parts. These are setting, problem, goal, and resolution. Let's find out if you can identify the different parts in the story that you have just read. Remember that setting includes the place where the story happened and the characters. Let's find out if you can tell the setting of the story. Yes?
The place is a kingdom long ago.
Okay, anybody else who can add to that? Yes?
The characters are the prince, the princess, and the old man.
Remember that if we talk about the setting, we have the place where the story happened and the characters in the story. How about the problem? There is a problem with the story. Can you tell us what the problem is? Yes, Isel?
The princess got sick when she and the prince were about to get married.
Just when they're about to get married, the princess is sick. That's the problem. So what is the goal in the story? Yes, Peter?
To make the princess get well.
Okay. Michelle, what events in the story happened to achieve the goal? Can you tell us?
The king sent for the best doctors in the kingdom, and old man appeared to the king.
That's very good. Was the problem solved? Yes, Jerry?
Yes, Mom. The magic stone from the old man made the princess get well.
Good.
That part of the story is called resolution. Remember the story that I gave you, children?
Yes, ma'am.
You know the title? Right, this time I want you to read the story quietly. And as you read the story, please remember the 4 story parts. We have the setting, the problem, the goal, and the resolution. Keep these story parts in mind because they will help you understand the story better. All right, let's read now. Would like to read the story aloud? Anybody? Would you like to try? Yes, Melissa. Melissa, as you read, you try to remember the story parts, the setting, the problem, the goal, and the resolution. I want you to think aloud to make known that you have identified the different parts. Can you do that? Okay.
You'd better not lose this ring, Pam, Pam's sister advised, as Pam slid the shining ring onto her middle finger. These are the characters, Pam and her sister. It's my favorite ring and I'm letting you wear it only because of the dance. Pam looked at the golden ring glittering in the sun. The tiny red stone shone like a light and sent an oblong red shadow across Pam's hands. Tonight was the dance and now everything was perfect. Her dress, her shoes, and the ring. Putting the finishing touches on her dress, Pam heard her father's voice. Oh, this is another character in the story. Let's go, Pam, he called. It's time to go to the dance. Pam ran excitedly down the stairs, glancing at her image reflected in the hall mirror. So, they're at home. All was in place, everything except the ring. Pam stared at her empty finger in disbelief. Where had it gone? This must be the problem. The ring got lost. Quickly, Pam raced back upstairs. In a panic, she looked everywhere she had been since she placed the precious ring on her finger. She tore through the dresser drawers, through her closet, back through the hallway. Her eyes scanned every inch of the floor. There was no ring. This is the goal, ma'am, to find the ring.
Okay, good.
Daddy, Pam yelled downstairs. Wait a minute more, I'm coming. Pam ran into the bathroom. She had just washed her hands. Perhaps the ring had slipped off her finger and had fallen into the sink. Pam stared down into the empty bowl. The ring was gone. Slowly, she raised her eyes to her face, now streaked in tears. I'll tell Daddy I can't go to the dance until I find the ring, she said to herself. Sadly, Pam raised her hands to wipe her eyes, and there on her fingers twinkled the golden ring. So this is the resolution, ma'am. It had been there all the time, on her other hand. Next time, Pam said as she smiled at her reflection, I'll stop and think before I look so hard for something that isn't lost. Oh, I think I was able to see all the parts of the story.
That was very good, Melissa. You see, Melissa was able to identify the parts of the story when she did the think aloud. Maybe the class can recall these parts. Let's try. Okay? Give me the setting. Roma?
The story happened at Pam's house.
Okay, let me write it on the board. Okay. Is there any other thing that you'd like to say about it?
The characters.
The characters?
The characters are Pam, her father, and her sister.
Okay. The characters. You see, the character is another element of the story. But in the meantime, we'll just write it under setting. Will you do that again? Will you tell me the characters in the story?
Pam.
Yeah, okay. Pam, her sister,
and her father.
and father. Remember that we can isolate the character. It can also be an element of the story, right? How about the next one? The problem. Anybody? Yes?
Broken and finances.
Okay. Cannot find her sister's ring. Okay. Now, if there is a problem, there must be a goal to solve the problem. Anybody who can tell me the goal? You again? Okay, let's hear you.
Thomas finally.
All right, let me write it in the board. Find the ring. All right, in order to solve or to achieve the goal, there must be some events which happen in the story. Can you give me one of the events? Yes, my dear?
Pam looked everywhere she had been in her bedroom.
Come again?
Pam looked everywhere she had been in her bedroom.
Oh, see. Okay, let me just write that on the board. Pam looked everywhere or looks everywhere in her bedroom. Any other event? Yes?
Pam looks in the bathroom.
Okay. Let me write it. Pam looks in the bathroom. Okay. Okay. Is there any other event? Yes?
Pam looks at her hands.
Okay. That is event 3. Looks at her hands. And was the problem solved? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Pam finds the ring on her hand.
And that part is the resolution. Let me try to write it on the board. Will you say it again?
Pam finds the ring on her hand.
Okay. Finds the ring where? All right. Pam finds the ring in her hands. That part is the resolution. Always remember that when you read a story, you try to identify these story parts: the setting, the problem, the goal, and the resolution. Knowing them will help you understand the story.
Once the student gets familiar with the parts of a story, this reader will enhance his or her comprehension in reading a story. He or she identifies the parts. He or she anticipates or predicts what is next in the story. We are all aware that predicting is an indication of an actively engaged proficient reader. Thus, knowledge of story grammar, or knowing the structure of a story used by the writer, enables the reader to imaginatively go through the act of composing. Not a few reading educators look at reading and writing as information processing activities. These educators find parallelism of sub-processes used in both. When one writes, the following steps are used: planning, writing the draft, and revising. In reading, the reader plans to the pre-reading activities. He or she makes predictions, hypotheses about the content. The writer prepares the draft, and if his or her predictions are not confirmed, he or she revises. The writer, too, revises until he or she is satisfied in having his or her plan in print. Therefore, we can say that steps used in reading are planning, actual reading, and revising. Neither reading nor writing is done in a strictly linear process. Rather, both are recursive processes. Now, let's move on and explore other reading-writing connections. Observe this high school student.
Michelle, let's go to the library.
Why? Is there something urgent?
I can't write about the essay on euthanasia that Miss Dixon gave us. I think I have to read some models.
I have a book of essays at home. Actually, it's my mother's own. But I can lend it to you one day.
Oh, really? Thank you. But I still need to go to the library.
I guess I should go with you. I have to read up more on the topic too.
After listening to Connie and Alma, I am sure that you were able to see a kind of reading-writing connection. Alma wanted to see or read samples of essays to be able to write one. What then is the reading-writing connection here? You are right. Reading models affect writers. In Alma's case, reading a sample or model essay will help her write essay. I think you provide this experience to your students, don't you? You encourage them to read to orient them on the hows or on styles of writing. Those who believe that models will help writers actually adopt this three-stage model. Using models to help writers, first, read a classic model and learn how to write. Second, analyze the features of the model. Third, write similar type of material, be it essay, poem, short story, and others. But how does Alma feel about it? She thought that it was enough to read models. She wanted to read more about the topic. She used reading to have more input in her essay. The reading-writing connection here capitalizes on reading as a source of content information on the topic to be written. What then is another existing belief that supports a reading instructional linkage with the other language skills? Reading existing models affect writers. Reading helps provide ideas to write about. How does reading relate to writing can also be seen in this activity of high school students across the curriculum. Watch this.
Class, I wanted to read a chapter on monocots and dicots, but this time, take down notes using a chart.
Okay, class, for your assignment, you have to read the chapter on the coming of the Spaniards to the Philippines. And after doing so, you have to list some of the activities that the Spaniards did and comment on their effect on the lives of Filipinos. Be able to get that?
You've just heard two teachers in the content areas, such as science and history, asking their students to read references and write information they will get from the text. Writing here is used as a means to enhance learning. What was learning in the text read is produced in writing. In the social studies context, the students are even made to further think on paper, elaborate on what they read, or extend their thinking about content area concepts. It is widely claimed that when students write, they think more, reflect more, are able to identify informational gaps. In so doing, he or she finds an opportunity to better crystallize his or her thoughts. This must probably be what Bacon meant when he said that writing maketh an exact man. Writing then, in relation to reading, is a writing to learn activity with reading as a take-off point. What about early or beginning readers? Does the reading-writing connection make sense? We will give you the answer to this when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back. The reading-writing connection makes sense to beginning readers in a number of ways. One connection explored is evident in this class. Observe carefully.
Class, I wrote some letters on the board. You may not find it easy to name them because I did not write them properly. Let's do something so that everybody recognizes the letters. Watch me do the first one. What letter is this? A. Yes, it's letter A. Now who will do the next? Oh, Kyle? Yes, sir. Correct. Let's give Kyle 2 claps. 1, 2. Very good, Kyle. Now, who can do the next? Next one. Yes, Marvea? She's very careful. Thank you, Thea. Now, class, I want you to read the letters that you framed. Everybody, let's read. Very good. Now, I want you to copy the letters. You may start copying now.
Obviously, the teacher made the learners trace and copy the letters. The learners had been taught the names of the letters earlier. The last activity was meant to reinforce the letter recognition skill. The writing here might seemingly be a penmanship practice. It might be doing this purpose, but primarily it was meant to effect learning via a multisensory approach. The activity should not lead you to a misconception where writing is often interpreted as penmanship or handwriting practice. Handwriting lessons are necessary and prerequisites for writing or composing lessons. Writing lessons, even in the early grades, should be interpreted as composing lessons. Penmanship training is a mechanical prerequisite. For beginners then, reading-writing connection may reinforce the learning of the code used in print language, which is largely composed of the alphabet. Enhancing the relationship of reading and listening is another fertile area to explore. The integration of the two is relatively easier. Skills in listening parallel those in reading. The difference lies in the medium used. In listening, oral signals of meaning are interpreted. In reading, the same signals of meaning are used, but these signals are given in written form. Cognitive processes involved are similar in both listening and reading. One listens for a main idea. One reads for a main idea too. One may ask to summarize a written essay. Indeed, the similarity of skills is obvious. What does this mean to the classroom teacher? Which of the two skills is he or she going to introduce? It's not a matter of choice. If your students need listening comprehension skills more than reading skills, then you have to give your students activities on listening or vice versa. What is most important to remember is the fact that reading and listening complement and supplement each other in the development of skills. You can refer to the TSM for a fuller presentation of this. We've run through sample activities to illustrate integration, in particular, reading with the other language skills. Let the samples be stimuli for you to explore other possibilities on creating instructional linkages among the language areas. I am sure your experience and professional readings will provide a strong backup to enrich, elaborate, modify whatever you saw today for maximum results in your own specific localities. When we return, we shall make a recap of today's lesson. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let us now recapitulate the points in today's episode. We said that, first, the interrelationship of the language art is acknowledged by many language educators. Reading, as one of the language arts, is therefore taught in the context of the total communication activities of the learner, which includes listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Second, integration is a common term used to enhance the desired relationship of the language arts in order to achieve maximum results. Third, integration promotes instructional linkages among the areas. Compartmentalization or curriculum fragmentation lessens the naturalness of use of language. Fourth, integrating reading with the other areas can either be content-wise or skill-wise. Fifth, reading instruction can be integrated with listening, with speaking, and with writing. Sixth, the reading-writing connection offers a lot of instructional possibilities owing to the nature of these two language arts with print language as their base. Well, I do hope you got a lot of insights from today's episode. Next time, we shall talk about testing reading. Once again, this is your host, Ruth Alido, saying goodbye, happy teaching, happy reading too.